From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Why education activists in Arizona remain skeptical following Governor Ducey's proposed plan to raise salaries.
Plus, how Arizona is trying to make crossing the streets safer after ranking among the highest in the nation for pedestrian deaths.
One Valley man takes his story of life after prison to Congress. How one program helps inmates make a smooth transition back into the workforce.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Nicole Hernandez.
And I'm Shaz Frazier. Thank you for joining us.
Teachers say they are pondering a lot of unanswered questions after Governor Ducey released a plan for raising teachers' salaries by 20% by the year 2020. Cronkite News reporter Gabriel Gamino explains why a threatened teacher walkout is still on the table.
Teachers are not the only ones saying they're skeptical when it comes to the governor's plan. I spoke with advocates along with Democrats and Republicans about Ducey's proposal, and they all questioned where the money would come from.
It's almost like studying for the final after the exam. So I would have thought that he would have had that figured out. That makes me concerned.
Raquel Mamani, spokesperson for Save Our Schools, isn't the only one concerned with where the money for Governor Doug Ducey's proposal is coming from. Senate Education Committee Chairwoman Senator Sylvia Allen, a Republican, expressed similar concerns.
But I certainly support what he is trying to do. The details will be in how we do the money.
Democrats also reacted to the proposal, releasing a statement saying in part, quote, Ducey's pay raise proposal is the sort of political theater that only vulnerable governors pull on election year. Democratic Senator Martin Quisada added Democrats are more than willing to work with the governor and across the aisle to reach a deal.
This isn't about politics. This is about investing in our schools in the right way. And so I hope that the governor will be open to working with us on getting that done.
The governor's plan still has a major hurdle to overcome.
And the governor can propose what he proposes, but in the end, he's got to have the will of the legislature, and there could be changes made to what the governor is asking.
And as far as educators go, a walkout, they say, is still a possibility.
I think it all remains on the table. We continue to organize, we continue to mobilize, we continue to do the work that is necessary for us to get what is needed to actually fix, or at least start to fix, the education problem in Arizona.
The governor's proposal still does not meet most of the demands set forth by education advocates, the biggest one being a raise that includes school support staff. The governor is said to be meeting with legislators this weekend and through Monday, hoping to find where the money would come from. In the broadcast center, Gabriel Gamino, Cronkite News.
In less than 2 weeks, residents for Arizona's District 8 will choose their next representative in a special election. In the latest poll, Republican Debbie Lisco is holding a 10-point lead over Democratic candidate Hiral Tipernini. This election is to replace Trent Franks, who resigned in December among a sexual harassment scandal.
Several Native American tribes in southern Arizona are going up against the U.S. Forest Service for their approval of developing an open-pit copper mine on public land. A complaint has been filed to the U.S. District Court here in Arizona. The Tohono O'odham Nation, the Pasquayaqui tribe, and the Hopi tribe are opposing the development of the Rosemont copper mine, which would be located about 30 miles south of Tucson in the Santa Rita Mountains. The more than 50,000 registered tribe members have ancient ties to the land, much of which is burial grounds. The land is also home to the endangered jaguar, which has spiritual significance to the tribes. Aviation experts are telling media outlets that weight may have been an issue in a small plane crash that killed 6 people on a Scottsdale golf course. Those sources say investigators believe the Piper PA-24 Comanche was likely overloaded and that passengers and the luggage in the back of the aircraft meant the plane was unbalanced during takeoff and couldn't get the lift it needed. The plane crashed 2 miles from its takeoff point.
Walking is one of the easiest forms of transportation, but instead of being a healthy exercise, it's becoming a dangerous activity. Arizona ranks highest in the nation with pedestrian deaths, according to Governor's Highway Safety Association report. Cronkite News reporter Amani Stevens looks into what steps can be taken to keep pedestrians safe.
People walk to work, to school, and other places they need to go.
Not only in total fatalities in 2017, we just crossed the 1,000 mark in Arizona for the whole state on everything, but pedestrians was 224. That's a huge number.
Tragically, those numbers have gone up with 2 additional pedestrian deaths happening last weekend. The first, April 7th, then less than 24 hours later, a GCU student was struck and killed at a crosswalk in Phoenix. Video released by Phoenix PD shows the vehicle they say was involved in the incident and then sped away. Brad Zinn says he sees the problem firsthand. During his morning commute, he notices more cars running red lights.
I used to ride a bike a lot in, and I would always watch the traffic because people will turn. Sometimes they turn across a crosswalk.
Gutierrez is studying examples of what other cities like New York are doing to help keep their pedestrians safe.
Look at the what was there before? Nothing, okay? But now, see, they put something to make sure people cross the right way. They're crossing, at night. They're crossing with this dark clothing without any understanding or imagination that the vehicles coming that may be a block away are going to slow down for you.
It's streets like these where there aren't many street lights and the crosswalk isn't even visible for people to walk through. 75% of pedestrian deaths happen at night, and this is with the camera light on. And with it off, you can barely see me. Carol Lee Burke also uses public transportation with her 3-year-old son.
Teaching him how to use the signs too, and how to count down, and how the hand work the stop sign, and how the walk signs are.
Gutierrez says things like grants may help officers with educating the public on crosswalk safety.
City council's got to approve them, and there should be some targeted enforcement with additional dollars for pedestrian safety and bicycle safety.
As for Burke, safety always comes first.
I'll wait as long as I have to just to get him across safe.
In Phoenix, Imani Stevens, Cronkite News.
Between Arizona, California, Florida, Texas, and New York, these states are accounted for, 43% of all pedestrian deaths in the country.
A workforce development program that started in Arizona took center stage at a Washington hearing this week. The program partners businesses with correctional facilities to help inmates get the training to fill highly skilled jobs. Cronkite News reporter Shelby Lindsay has the story of one such inmate from our Washington bureau.
When he was released from prison 7 months ago, Brian Potasic could not have imagined he would be testifying before Congress this week as a role model.
It makes me feel really blessed, and I'm happy that I get the opportunity that I never thought I would have to come down here and speak on it and maybe change lives.
Potasic said drugs derailed his life and led to a 6-year sentence. But now, he is employed as an electrician at Austin Electric Services in Mesa. He was joined Thursday by Austin Electric President Toby Thomas, who said the Workforce Development Program through the Lewis Prison trains inmates in highly needed job skill sets.
We started this, it was about fulfilling a need that we have in our industry, but it's turned into something more than that. It's now more about impacting lives as well as fulfilling the need that we have within our industry. So it's really twofold.
Thomas wasn't the only employer sharing his success story with the House Ways and Means Committee this week. Connie Willem, CEO at the Home Builders Association of Central Arizona, also testified in support of the program.
It's all of our jobs as a community to help get them back assimilated into the community and help make them productive.
Potasic said that not only has the opportunity inspired him to excel in his job, but also to speak to inmates in similar situations.
For me, I've had trainers and stuff that have been incarcerated, and I see their success stories, and so it makes me want to instill that in others and to let others know that it is possible to be where I'm at today.
Reporting from Washington, Shelby Lindsay, Cronkite News.
There's plenty of opportunity. Thomas said there are hundreds of skilled jobs that need to be filled in the valley alone, and lawmakers at the hearing were eager to learn more to deal with what has become a nationwide problem. Drag racing is often thought of as a dangerous sport.
One Phoenix high school is trying to use the sport to help its students. Coming up on Cronkite News, we'll show you how drag racing is teaching students about building cars and relationships.
Strong winds and lots of humidity. I'll have your weekend forecast coming up after the break.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland, in Washington, in Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
Big engines, loud noises, and fast cars. One after-school program is teaching high school students skills that could lead to a career, while hopefully keeping them off the streets. Cronkite News reporter Cade Garner talked to the students who have a need for speed.
Drag Racing Against Gangs and Graffiti, or better known as DRAG, is a program that brings fast cars with a mission to students at Trevor Brown High School in Phoenix.
The point of the program is to expose them to the automotive industry. So we take students who maybe aren't a great fit for a traditional college or even a traditional high school, and we use this program to keep them close to education so they don't totally lose contact.
Every Tuesday and Thursday, students get together after class to talk cars and get their hands dirty. Right now, they're working on this model, getting it up and ready to roll.
It's really interesting because a lot of guys don't think that girls could do most of what they do here, but it's actually pretty easy to do.
The program is about a year old, and Phoenix is one of 3 cities nationwide offering it. Drag doesn't just build engines, it also builds relationships, including those between police officers and students.
Honestly, he's great. He's a great cop. You know, he's a goofball. He gets along with everybody. He's a jokester, but at the same time, he knows when to take time seriously.
So we really view this as a tool to change the perception of some of our young people towards the police officers that they'll encounter later in life.
For those in the drag program, it's more than just fast cars. It's about human connections. In Phoenix, Cade Garner, Cronkite News.
Officer Tearing says the drag program has something to offer for every student who may be thinking about joining. As the program grows, there are plans to expand it to at least 5 other schools across the valley.
Now, drag racing isn't the only thing that is unsettling dirt and dust on Arizona roads. Check out this video from yesterday's heavy winds. Visibility was down across the state due to blowing dust. The winds were enough for the National Weather Service to issue a red flag. Now, Nicole, I'm sure the winds are not as crazy as yesterday, but nevertheless, there's still high winds out there today.
And Imani, what can we expect going into the weekend?
It's not going to be exactly like yesterday because I thought to myself, am I in Chicago for a second? But exactly right now in Phoenix, we're having wind speeds of 17, and even if you're out here in Buckeyes, 20. So it's not going to be as bad. And towards Saturday early morning, it's going to slow down a little bit. So you definitely won't be that windy. But the bad news is there's a red flag warning, especially for wildfires, because it's so hot outside and bright. There's a potential for sunburn even as well. So if you're going out for any outdoor activities this weekend, make sure you have sunscreen, put on a hat, because you can easily sunburn easy. Now here's a look at the weekend forecast. Sunday, we're hitting 91. It's not 100 degrees, but it's pretty hot. And even on Monday, we're going to go down a little bit to 88. And throughout your work week, it's going to be in the mid 80s. Not too bad. So enjoy this weather now, because I'm telling you, it's going to be hot, because you know our summers are extremely hot. In the Weather Center, I'm Imani Stevens.
Stay tuned here on Arizona PBS. Our top social stories of the week are coming up next in our Cronkite News Refresh.
And for top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org. And we want to wish everyone a good evening.
Mommy, you need
Welcome to @Cronkite News, your social sharing connection where you choose the news. Facebook likes and shares, tweets, retweets, and favorites. YouTube views and subscriptions. We're watching you watch us. From our digital home at cronkitenews.azpbs.org to your television, web browser, or mobile device. Let's get a refresh on the top Arizona news of the week.
Veterans are revving up their adrenaline to help relieve the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. Cronkite News reporter Amanda Slee attended Vetdrenaline's drift racing event.
After being wounded in combat in 2009, Jess Manny, U.S. Army veteran, needed something more in his recovery process.
Through all the great things that the medical industry does for us, our veterans, there was always that piece I was missing, and I found it through the adrenaline rush in motorsports.
Manny founded Vetdrenaline to help other vets work through their PTSD.
Sometimes getting that adrenaline rush brings us right back to those environments that we had overseas, but in a controlled, positive way.
U.S. Marine veteran Joanna Sweat got a chance to buckle up as a passenger in a drift car. Sweat works in veteran advocacy, encouraging other vets to seek help. But she avoided her own issues until joining this Vetdrenaline team.
It helps you address the things that you miss from the service, like teamwork, camaraderie, and just kind of that adrenaline of having a mission and moving forward and doing something that civilian life just can't fill the gap.
Most civilians don't get to ride shotgun with a professional drift driver.
The 3 that I got to take had never been in a drift car before, and it completely changed their mind. They said they had no idea the speeds that we got up to, the angle, the tire smoke, and just the horsepower and everything, the whole combination. They said it was just amazing.
I was scared because I didn't understand the concept of just whipping a car around. But when you get in it, it's literally like, it's so awesome. You're like floating, and it's so fast. It's like you're competitive, you're racing. And so that's fun.
Feeling the rush without being in the battle. In Chandler, Amanda Slee, Cronkite News.
The next Vetdrenaline event will be a desert challenge on October 12th in Laughlin.
From northern Arizona to Tucson, thousands of people participated in walk-ins to show support for the Red for Ed movement. Reporter Gabriella Becerra shows us what happened here in the valley.
Students, parents, and staff showed up by the thousands in the early morning hours at schools across the state. They wore red to show support for their teachers.
Our students and our teachers deserve better than what we're getting right now.
Teacher Jennifer Samuels led her colleagues and the community in walking into Desert Shadows Middle School. Parents at the event are supporting their child's teachers in whatever next steps they take. Parent and former educator Jill Leshin says she thinks teachers need to go on strike.
If teachers strike, then what's going to happen is parents can't go to work, and then it's going to directly affect the economy. And then people are going to start to pay attention.
Leshin says she is willing to help, even if that means increasing taxes.
I am more than happy to fund education as a homeowner, as a voter, and I think if we all just pitched in a little bit, that's what community is all about.
At Desert Springs Preparatory Elementary, teacher Amy Smith led the event.
We support Red for Ed.
Smith says the state hasn't properly funded education since 2008.
Without that funding, all of the students in our buildings don't have as many textbooks and technology and supplies. Class sizes are very large.
Arizona Educators United Noah Carvelis says that they have not yet made a decision on whether or not teachers will be walking out. This decision could be coming in the next couple of days. Live in the Media Center, Gabriella Becerra, Cronkite News.
Today, Arizona residents turned into snake charmers with only a bucket and tongs. Yikes. Reporter Sydney Eisenberg shows us how some people are learning the best way to safely remove venomous snakes from their property.
I've seen rattlesnakes crawling into people's yards, and that's a little too much.
Steve Peralta, like many Arizonans, says seeing snakes on hiking trails and other areas is routine, but now he is able to remove the snakes himself.
When you just see them and look at them, take pictures of them, It's a lot different when you actually handle one because you're messing with an animal that can kill you.
The Phoenix Herpetological Society trained people to remove venomous snakes on their own instead of calling the society or animal control. Students practiced on a non-venomous snake before moving on to the dangerous one.
The snakes were here first. They still are going to find a way into your home or into your backyard from time to time, and it's really helpful to know how to safely remove them.
Now, the removal of a rattlesnake could set you back about $75. With the proper training,
all you need is a set of tongs and a bucket. Heim says the best way to avoid snakes is to be aware of your surroundings and don't go into areas you can't see clearly.
That's when most people get bitten, is reaching under a grill, reaching under rocks or bushes that they can't really see what's there, and that's when you surprise a snake and don't give it a chance to warn you.
And with Arizona being home to 13 species of rattlesnake, more than any other state, Heim says this type of training is worth it before a surprise strikes in your backyard. In Scottsdale, Sydney Eisenberg, Cronkite News.
The Phoenix Herpetological Society says as the days start to heat up, Arizonans can expect to see more rattlesnakes. If you do see one, stay at least 3 feet away.
It hasn't been long since the controversy over banning the use of plastic bags. The town of Bisbee banned retailers from offering plastic bags to their customers, but a state law lifted the restriction. Now cities across the Southwest are looking toward more sustainable practices. Cronkite News Los Angeles reporter Book DeGumbia takes us to Malibu to see their policies in action.
I swam out 50 yards, dove underneath, and there was a bunch of garbage on the bottom, all plastic. Straws, plastic bottles, just, it was bad.
In a city known for its 21 miles of beaches, sprawling mansions, and celebrity residents, Malibu is continuing its fight against plastic waste.
Malibu was one of the first cities in California to ban the use of plastic bags, with the rest of the state following years later. Now the ritzy beach enclave is leading the pack once again, this time restricting the use of plastic utensils.
Matt Meyerhoff participates in California beach cleanups.
Of the things that I picked up myself, probably 90% of them were some sort of plastic. Little bits and pieces of polystyrene foam, like from coffee cup and mostly takeout food containers.
Starting June 1st, a law will go into effect restricting all 65 Malibu restaurants from providing plastic cutlery to customers. The city is shifting to biodegradable options.
We have metal, we have glass, we have paper, and there's also pasta straws.
Plastic takes up to 450 years to fully decompose. As a result, much of it ultimately ends up in the ocean, causing continuous harm to marine life. This Santa Monica business owner recognized the plastic problem and recently switched to glass bottles. But he doesn't think plastic alternatives will become mainstream for one reason: economics.
It's almost triple the price.
But Malibu officials hope this new law will eventually yield the same kind of results the plastic bag ban has.
And then after a number of years, everybody drives around with the reusable shopping bags in the trunk of their car. And now when you're at the supermarket, you see everybody using them. It's pretty rare for people to actually not have anything like that.
That's what we really want people to do, is you keep a little kit with a fork and a knife and a spoon and a straw in your car, and they have ones in little cases.
Outlawing plastic cutlery and straws is a small step in solving a massive problem. But city officials and residents say they're determined to initiate change.
I'm glad that they really got it done and maybe be a showcase to other cities.
In Malibu, Brooke DeGumbia, Cronkite News.
Now, here's an @Cronkite News pick of the week, a favorite from the Cronkite News staff.
At One Valley High School, it's not unusual to see dogs in the classroom. Students are helping train those dogs to be service animals. Reporter Nicole Gutierrez shows us how the dogs benefit the trainers just as much as their future owners.
What better way to prepare that dog than as part of its training to have them in a high school?
At Camelback High School, students have a club called Spartan Paws, where they help train dogs to become service animals.
They're exposed to thousands of children all day long.
Students work with organization Lifeline Assistance to learn how to train and integrate the dogs in their classrooms.
Being able to learn how to work with a dog, how to reinforce behaviors, how to
teach a dog a new behavior from the very beginning to the very end of a completed behavior is a super skill and a pretty unique one for students and staff members to learn.
Era the Rottweiler is Spartan Paw's demo dog. This is just one of the many skills these dogs learn.
The dogs are not only trained for their future jobs, but also help some of the volunteer trainers who have special needs.
The dogs act as a social bridge, and the students are able to interact with each other and be inclusive when the dogs are around. We've seen a lot of growth with our students. We've actually had students that have said complete sentences for the first time ever with the dog.
But besides teaching tricks, Newman says that students learn an invaluable life lesson.
They learn to take on something that is bigger than themselves. They're able to give back in a way that makes a difference in somebody else's life.
The dogs can also become comfort animals or be specially trained for seizure recovery and diabetic alert. In Phoenix, Nicole Gutierrez, Cronkite News.
Camelback High School has 3 service dogs in training daily. Dogs typically spend a year on campus and then are placed with disability handlers all over the United States.
Cronkite News tracks your likes, tweets, and shares from all our social sites to bring you this special at Cronkite News, our weekly refresh. Join the conversation so you choose the news. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org for top Arizona stories anytime.